All right, today we are going to talk about decimal multiplication and how to find the product of any two decimal numbers. We've talked about decimal numbers being just another way to show parts of a whole, similar to fractions are just another way of showing part of a whole number. So we can rewrite 4/10 as a decimal as 0.4, or we can show 4/10 as a fraction as 4/10. The problem is 0.4 times 0.3, or 4/10 times 3/10 as 4/10 times 3/10. The area model below shows how to find the fractional answer for this product. So the red part in our fraction model here shows us the fraction of 3/10. Okay, so this part would be 3/10. Okay, the blue part shows us 4/10. Okay, so up here would be 4/10, or the equivalent of 4/10 of the area model. The part that overlaps in here is actually going to be the answer. This goes back way back to when we talked about fraction multiplication. When we did all of that stuff, we talked about when we multiplied 4/10 times 3/10, we'd multiply straight across. We'd count those little boxes in there, we'd get 12, and then if we count the total area, there'd be 100 of those, so that a tenth times a tenth equals 100th. So therefore, 4/10 as a decimal times 3/10 as a decimal, whoops, not times, is going to equal 12/100ths as a decimal as well. Okay, so it transfers really easily. The key here is to think about the name of the number. 4/10, if you think about the name, it gives you the name of the decimal. It gives you the name of the fraction. It gives you the name of the decimal number. If you know that 4/10 as a fraction looks like this, then you should know that 4/10 as a decimal looks like this. If we know that 12/100ths, if we write it in decimal form, looks like 0.12, then we know that 12/100ths as a fraction would look like this. So it's easy if we just slow down and think about it. It's really easy to help understand the distinction between fractions and decimals, and the relationship between the two will actually make multiplication easy. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look here at this question right here. How might an area model help you find the product of 4/10 times 2 and 3/10? What we're really going to do here is we're going to look at turning this problem into just a fraction multiplication. We're not really going to worry about an area model because we're not going to spend a lot of time drawing pictures. If drawing the picture, the area model helps you, that's fine. But what we're really worried about is just the nuts and bolts of the math. So let's make 4/10 as a fraction. Okay, so 0.04 as a fraction would be 4/10. Okay, and we're going to multiply that by 2 and 3/10. So that would be 2 and 3/10. Okay, now obviously we are going to want to rewrite this as an improper fraction. So we'll rewrite it down here, 4/10 times, as an improper fraction, this would be 23/10. Okay, and that would give us 4 times 23, 4 times 23 is 12. Carry the 1, it's 8, 92. That'd be 92 over 10 times 10 is 100. So that would be 92/100ths, okay? And then, of course, we could reduce that as well. All right, so what that means for us in the terms of decimals is that 0.4 times 2.3 is going to equal 92/100ths. The key here, and what I'm going to point out to you is that if you look in the problem, we have one decimal place here and 1 decimal place here, and in our product we have 2 decimal places behind the decimal. That's the key here. That's how we can double check to make sure that we did our problem correctly. That should be a 9. We need to make sure that we have the same number of decimal places in our product as we do in our 2 factors over here in our problem. So let's try a couple more. Let's try doing, real quickly, all right, so let's try another problem real quick. Let's try the problem of 4 hundredths, so 0.04, times 32 hundredths. Okay, so the last thing I just got done saying was that we should count the number of decimal places in our factors. So right here we have 2 places here, 2 places here. That means our answer, our product, should have 4 decimal places. So we've got 4 decimal places in our problem, or 4 decimal places in our 2 factors combined. There should be 4 total decimal places in our product as well. And the reason for that is because that this number is 4 hundredths, which would be 4 hundredths, and this number is 32 hundredths. Okay, so 100 times 100 would be 10,000. All right, so if we take 4 times 32, we are going to get, okay, through multiplication, we're going to get 0.0128. Okay, so I'm going to line it up over here, 0.32 times 0.04. And unlike addition and subtraction, we really don't need to line up the decimals. It doesn't do anything for us. It's not important to line them up with multiplication. It just so happened that on this problem, it works out. So let's multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. We're going to go ahead and write the 12. Okay, we're going to add a 0 because we're scooting over a place value. 0 times 2 is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. Okay, we're done. We're going to add those up. That's an 8 and a 2 and a 1. Now, here's the part that comes in. We can't just say it's 0. So we're going to count our place values. Remember, we need to have 4 here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. We have to add a 0 and then the decimal. Okay, because this should be 128 over 10,000. Okay, so in order for it to be 128 10,000ths, we have to add that 0 right here to it. So it's really important, sorry, that should be more of a line. It's really important to make sure that you're counting the number of decimal places in your factors prior to multiplying. Go back, rewatch, take as much time as you need. Be ready to discuss in class.